Welcome to another episode of Bourbon and Data Breaches, where we cover 5 of the most interesting breaches from this last week. I'm Steve.
I'm Connor.
I'm Frank.
This week's cyber breach breakdown is from lipstick to launch codes. When your cosmetic store and your naval defense contractor both get hacked the same week, it's officially getting weird out here. Starting off with story number 1, perfume and ponage. Akira ransomware hit Spanish cosmetics chain Drun, leaking customer data and internal documents. Somewhere out there, a hacker is scrolling through lipstick SKUs and loyalty card spreadsheets.
Yep, and retail remains a target. Consumer retail companies might not see them at the top of your normal list of ransomware targets, but I think Druni, I saw they also contract with major beauty brands, L'Oreal, Dior, Chanel, I believe they contract with. We'll talk about this a little bit on the last episode, but when you have big name companies pressuring you, you're more likely to pay or get a resolution as soon as possible with the ransomware. So could be something that's in the mind of Akira during this, so they know it's likely to be paid and paid quickly due to supply chain impacts. Just a thought. But when you think about the impacts here, right, customers, employee, corporate data potentially at risk. I'm not sure if exactly what's included is 40 gigabytes. Maybe there's some credit cards. I'm sure there's PII, but just another incident that could impact a lot more people than you would expect.
Well, I gotta agree with that. When your business depends on partnerships with names like Chanel, last thing you want is 40 gigabytes of your dirty laundry getting aired by hackers. In retail, perception is everything, even more if you're talking about luxury brands. Once your back end cracks, your front end glamour won't shine the same.
Moving right along with story number 2, Naval Group. Naval Group? Torpedoes and telegram leaks. French defense contractor Naval Group suffered a massive breach with 30 gigabytes of juicy NATO-linked internal data leaked online.
It's not that funny when we talk about national security. Files on warships, submarines, shipbuilding software are reportedly out in the wild. And the leak comes right when, tensions in Europe are on the rise. If the French Navy starts taking patch notes from a ransomware blog, we got a problem. It's not just about exposing blueprints, but how even your most strategic assets really are when it comes to basic digital hygiene.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, like you mentioned, Frank, NATO being involved here, that's a lot of countries that are a part of that. There's potential information that could be destabilizing. They're looking at military information. I believe this company is focused on designing for submarines, warships, defense, technology, but those companies have a lot of information, especially if they're working with NATO. So very concerning from a global security perspective. I think allegedly was 30 gigabytes as kind of the sample, and they gave a 72-hour deadline. And I believe the entire terabyte either is going to be leaked in full or already is, which is highly concerning if this is the kind of data we think it might be.
We've had several weeks in a row where blueprints have been stolen. Makes you wonder what the hackers are building.
Yeah, I wonder if you map out which countries are affected, if you notice any trends.
Germany and then France. So, all right. Moving on to story number 3. Nippon India Mutual Fund, now featuring identity theft. We have Warlock ransomware saying they've breached this major Indian asset manager, leaking internal financials and investor data. Just what you want to hear from your investment manager.
Yeah, I think first, Warlock, newer ransomware as a service group, pretty busy lately this year so far. Anytime a mutual fund is impacted, to your point, Steve, it affects a lot of people, and usually people that have finances, and sets them up for potential fraud, identity theft, any kind of social engineering, or just information that they want to be private no longer being private. When it comes to finance, there's a large ripple effect. Not only can it affect the people who are impacted, but it gets through other potential investors or people in the industry as well.
The incident triggered the probe, which means now the company has to deal with both IT cleanup and government breathing down their neck. And something like that, yeah, what started as an outage turns into a boardroom headache, picture reports to regulators, investor calls, public relations, twisting and turning, all for something they claim didn't even touch customer data. The way it's starting to look, I wouldn't call it a safe outcome. You started to wonder how thin the line really is between an operational glitch and a complete disaster.
Moving on to story number 4, Hertz farm management, crops, contracts, and crypto lockers. Akira ransomware claims they took land ownership records and lease contracts from one of America's top farmland managers, Hertz.
This is probably a basic portrait on how attackers test infrastructure, go after the mid-size, the specialized, and protected. And if your clients are high net worth individuals or landowners with property on the line, that data quickly turns into a gold mine.
Yeah. And second week in a row, we're talking about an agriculture company being impacted, in this case, farmland management. Akira, again, who we talked about with Druni earlier. So I'm not sure if Akira has a bigger picture here, or if they're finding that these targets are more likely just to pay because of their supply chain impacts, not having contracts with very large national global brands. Farmland management company has huge impacts on a critical global food supply industry. While this attack's not going to stop the crops from growing, can definitely cause some rippled again, right? You have the ability or potential for the actual land ownership documents, things that are typically expected to keep private, becoming public and causing some distrust and maybe some issues when it comes to food production down the road.
If they're in charge of land leasing, it could lead to fewer crops being grown.
I mean, that's the downstream effect, right? Contracts being made public could undermine some of the owners of the land. There's a lot to consider, dude.
And the last story of the day, BTHK, otherwise known as the Bureau of Telecommunications, Hong Kong. Regulators get wrecked. Also, this week went after BTHK, Hong Kong's telecom regulator. Stolen data may include licensing records and regulatory documents.
Telecom regulator. I think telecom in general, especially regulators, hold the keys to the kingdom for communications networks. And, broadly speaking, telecom in general, critical infrastructure. But we've seen countless incidents occurring to very large companies here in the States and also globally in telecom and ISP work. And you would think these would be more defended against, considering the critical infrastructure nature of this industry. But again, just very concerning when it comes to confidential information of users, as we've seen with previous incidents to other companies. Not going to start dropping calls or anything of that nature, but it causes an undermining of the guardians of the communication infrastructure, the regulators. So definitely some reputational issues and downstream effects here as well.
Yeah, there's not much to go on yet, except that a new guy called Warlock claims to have hacked Hong Kong's telecom regulator with, no sample leaks, no details, just a bit. But even without proofs, just being named could mean bad news. When a new ransomware crew starts playing around with national infrastructure, it becomes less about extortion and more about signal. Could be noise, could be state-backed. I don't know, could be someone testing the waters. When a big national authority gets mentioned in the same sentence as ransomware, even if it's not military, like we talked before, it's time to stop scrolling and start sweating.
Yeah. To your point, Frank, Warlock is associated with Storm 2603, the China-based threat actor. This is the Hong Kong Telecommunications. So again, alleged information, but definitely seems to be that way. If you look at who they're attacking, we will see what they continue to do.
Whether you're launching missiles, planting soybeans, or selling mascara, if you've got data, you've got ransomware problems. Pro tip, your firewall should be stronger than your perfume brand's Instagram presence. Until next time.